Hey, it's John here. I hope you're doing well. Hey, everyone, I've got a video today. I'm actually going to talk about investing. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I really cover mostly investing, whether it's stock market investing and also some real estate in the rental world, in the kind of the short, medium term vacation rentals. I actually have done 700 plus basically rentals, over the years through the course of many properties, kind of surprised myself recently with that actual number. But anyway, so I'll cover some of that material as well. But what are we doing today? Today, here we are. It is June 2nd, everybody, and here we are in the post-pandemic crash. Thank goodness the stock market has started to come up, a little bit here in the last. I'd say finally we're at a place where if you look at the last, let's say, 5 or 6 trading days, more than half of them are in the green and coming up. But the obviously, the sad part of that is that, your stocks that you have go down, but the bonus of that is that you can now have different opportunities to take positions, provided that you have have your assets left to actually take positions. But the bonus is that you have an opportunity to take positions in companies that otherwise their valuation was too high. So what I did is today I found a great article on Michael Burry, where Michael Burry, in case you don't know who Michael Burry is, he is the one of the main characters from the movie The Big Short. And what he did was back during the subprime crisis of 2007, where there was a massive subprime crash, which then affected the stock market, the financial crisis of 2008, and then into 2009, and then certainly affected real estate all the way into 2011 and 12, right? But basically, Michael Burry, is basically a hedge fund manager, right? He's got a fund and he manages that fund, and he took a huge shorted really the real estate market, back then in 2005. So I found a great article where, Michael Burry certainly did a lot of shorts in the beginning of 22. He did a filing, so, he's got to do a filing for his company and his fund in terms of the positions that he has. And I found basically 4 new positions that he has. I'm really going to cover really 2 mainly that he has. I'm sorry, I'm going to cover 3. I'm going to cover 2 where they've purchased, right? So they've bought shares, and then we're going to cover one main one where they actually have a put position where they bought puts, meaning they bought the options of puts, the right to actually then sell that stock. So he's kind of in a way shorting this third company that we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and take a look real quick at some of these companies that Michael Burry is number one. 2 of them that he's buying, and then one of them that he's actually buying puts on or shorting. It's like watching a plane crash. Michael Burry thinks the market has plenty of room to plunge, but he finally sees value in these 4 stocks. So what it is, and everybody, I actually did a video literally yesterday, so it's going to be the video before this. I'll go ahead and insert that video here, during this video if you want to check it out. And that video where I cover some of the, obviously the huge tech giants, Amazon, Alphabet, Facebook, Google, and then even Microsoft and Netflix, because here we are in the post-pandemic crash. We are, there's some great buying opportunities because the valuations are so different, and I'm kind of comparing all the different valuations. So I'll link to that video here. But basically, I did actually cover Facebook, and this is the first one that Michael Burry mentions. I did cover Facebook in that video. But basically, what he's doing is he's making a big bet on Facebook. It says Burry's portfolio now includes 6,500 shares of Google, parent Alphabet, and 80,000 shares of Meta. So there we go. It says Facebook and Google. So if you do that math, okay, so if you actually do that math, it's basically about 15 million each, right? So the Google 6,500 shares of Google at today's price of June 2nd, it's about 15,300,000, and then 80,000 shares of Meta, of Facebook of Meta, is actually 15,800,000. So they're both about $15 million positions that he took, right? They're his 4th and 6th largest holdings respectively. So obviously you can figure that one out. I'm not going to really talk too much about Booking.com, but it appears that he's actually it's the second largest holding, so they've taken a position there in Booking. Then the last one is Apple. So it looks like what's kind of crazy is that Michael Burry and his hedge fund, they've actually taken, they've got 206,000 put options on Apple, which is kind of, kind of scary if you think about it. I certainly covered Apple in the video I did yesterday when I'm trying to take a look at these tech giants to see kind of what they have going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it into the handy dandy spreadsheet. And when I take it into the handy dandy spreadsheet, I'm just going to show you these three really: Apple, Facebook, and Google. That is a little shocking that Michael Burry is kind of has all those put options on Apple because obviously Apple is the biggest company in the world in terms of market capitalization. But if you still look at them and what their revenues are, the reality that they're still growing, I don't know. I'm not really clear on how wise that really is to be betting against Apple like that, like they're doing. And hey, yeah, he's been right. Certainly, he's been right. But he's not right all the time. That's for sure. But considering how negative he can be, it is very interesting to see that he's positive on Google and Facebook. And I will say that I did read years and years and years ago that he was kept buying up Google, the parent company of Google, Alphabet. And I was certainly I would say affected and convinced that I should be taking positions in Google and Alphabet at the time that I read about him taking those. So let's take a quick look into the handy dandy spreadsheet, and we'll take a look at some of these valuations, of Facebook, and Google. I'm sorry, of Alphabet. So if you take a look, everybody. So right here, what I do is I take the in terms of a ratio, I like to use gross profits and divide that into their market cap. That's something that I've done for years, and it's really works for me. The reason I do that is because I really feel like gross profits is a really important number. It's really nice to see. In fact, if you take a look at it, Facebook, and this is the most recently reported 12-month trailing revenues. I really prefer to do the fiscal year end, but in the case of now, I haven't really been doing investment videos for quite a while. And the market's basically been crashing since the first couple of days of this year, 2022. So I do think it's really healthy to just kind of go ahead and grab what we have, which is the most recent trailing 12 months in terms of the revenue and the gross profits, right? But anyway. So you can see that their gross profits are 80%. That's really, really high. I mean, very few groups are going to have gross profits that are really that high, right? So in any case, I do like to do that because revenues is great. It's certainly, obviously, hugely important, but it doesn't tell enough of the picture, and there's so much that can go in between the gross costs and all the way down to the net income, that it can be sometimes hard to kind of compare all the different companies. And I do believe that the higher the gross profit, typically the better that company is, and the more interesting of an opportunity I see it as, right? So if you take a look at Facebook, they're pretty much the lowest in the group here. Even if you go down to Netflix, which again I'm not talking about in this particular video, but they're even a little bit lower in terms of their multiple of their gross profits into their market cap. But if you take a look at Google, Google's still quite attractive. If you take a look at this group that I've highlighted: Amazon, Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Facebook, or Meta, which it's going to be trading as Meta soon. It's still trading as FB, ticker symbol FB, but it's going to be trading as Meta soon. And the name of their company is Meta Platforms, of course. But they are pretty much right here at almost 100 billion in gross profits, right? And they're growing, year-over-year revenue growth. And again, this is according to most recently reported trailing 12 months of 39.2% year-over-year revenue growth. They got their 80% margins. their multiple at 5. So if you take a look at Facebook, and then let's take a look at Alphabet real quick. So, they're just, obviously huge. Their market cap at about $1.5 trillion there for Alphabet. They're upwards, climbing up to about 300 billion in revenue. Their gross profits at about over 150 billion. Year-over-year revenue growth rate 48%, and then that nice sweet gross profit margin of 56, really 57%. So I think the thing with growth profit, I'm sorry, not gross profit. The thing with year-over-year revenue growth is that as long as it's 35% or up, it's really that kind of growth stock, right? Because if it's over 35%, you can say, okay, well, that really means that their revenue is going to be doubling every 3 years, right? Because obviously, 35 times 3 is more than 100%. So that's really the magic number, at least that I see, is I try to kind of beat that 35%. And as you can see, Alphabet is clearly beating it, and then Facebook or Meta is beating it just a little bit. But if we take a look at them in terms of their we're going to take a look at Alphabet here in terms of their, this is the 1-year chart for them. If you take a look at their 52-week high, we are still off of the high here, for Google. We take a look at their 52-week range, so their high is the 3042, and then the closing price today, 2354. Yeah, so they're still about 77% of their 52-week high. So they're about 22 to 23% off. So that window is closing in terms of the opportunity for Google, and you never know, there might be some down days here in the next in the next few trading sessions, but still a nice ripe opportunity to get into to Alphabet there. If you take a look at Meta's about 50% off of their 52-week high, right? So their 52-week high of 384.33, and you look at the closing price today of 198.86. 3, 4. So they're right there at about 51%. So they're 51% of their 51% of their 52-week high, their Meta. So if you take a look at that, and then they're obviously, so with them, I mean, they're about 50% of their 52-week high market cap. So again, it's a pretty attractive time to get in, everybody, both for Facebook and for Meta. I will say that, I mean, that's really surprising that Michael Burry is going to be putting, has all those put options, on Apple. I mean, to bet against Apple, I mean, that's a little bit crazy if you think about it. Let's take a look. I also do have Apple here, and I didn't take a look at them too much with you, but, Apple still 40% year-over-year revenue growth rate, right there, almost 400 billion, 386 billion in trailing 12-month revenues. Gross profits, pretty much the highest in the group at 167. They have over 40% gross profit margin level. I don't see anyone in this whole list. So Apple's got the highest gross profits of really anyone in the list. Obviously, they are also the biggest company in the world. But to make a bet against them is, I don't know about that. That's a little risky. I mean, I do know that one of the biggest mistakes I made, which really turned into the best learning lesson, is to not sell your winners, right? Back in 2009, Apple was the only winner that I had, because I bought Apple right before the first iPhone came out back in 2007, and it was the only winner. And of course, I sold some shares because everyone else was a loser, and that was just the dumbest thing I could have ever done, because I missed this massive run up from 2009 until really when I got back in, I guess, which was 2013 or something like that. But there was a massive run up, in Apple during that time. So I certainly would not want to bet against them. But at the end of the day, they are the biggest company in the world in terms of market capitalization. So I do see some of where he's coming from if the market does continue to plunge. So those are some numbers for you, everybody. That is what Michael Burry is doing, and hopefully you like that, everybody. I do have got a background in investing. My first job out of college was Merrill Lynch. I did some investment banking. Also worked for Sun America here in LA for 3 years, and also do real estate. I'm going to be coming out with some programs for real estate. I've actually done 700 plus actual different rentals for in the whole world of medium sized rentals and short rentals and vacation rentals, and have been doing that really since 2005. So it's kind of crazy how long, but we'll also come out with some content for that. Hopefully you guys liked it. You can check out some links in the description area for any of my programs. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. Thank you.